What's going on? Greetings, everyone. Greetings. This is your boy Corey, aka Valedictorian. Uh, this is a head of class sessions, and we're going to take it back to sports talk. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the culture of referees. All right. Now, refs are in all sports. They're there to officiate the game, to keep order, to make sure the players are following the rules, not breaking them. They're an important part of the professional game, of the professional sports game. Okay? Now, no matter what sport you want to talk about, I believe that there have been times when referees, they're human. First of all, let's just say that. Referees are human. And you're going to have times when these refs make mistakes, where they miss calls, or they make the bad call, okay? But I've noticed that out of all of the professional sports that's out there, the one league that, you know, you have more of a problem with these referees where not only do they make bad calls or not only do they miss calls, they're intentionally, or they had a track history of intentionally throwing games, helping games get thrown. We all know about the one ref, start with a D, but in the 2000s, trying to think of his name, can't think of it. My apologies, but the infamous ref who was working with the mob to throw games for money. Okay, now that's a one of one. Okay, but what I really want to talk about too is the fact that in the NBA, there's this culture. Okay, now I've watched different clips and different things. There's certain players that were in the league who were basically blackballed by the referee union. Anytime they play, you have, technicals being called. You have certain players getting thrown out at a much faster rate than other players. And I believe that, there's still some things today that are huge red flags in the NBA. And I'm just gonna say it, man. I believe that there's some referees who believe that they believe they can operate however they want to, even if they're holding a grudge against a player, or they want to make an example out of players instead of fairly calling the games. And there's so many different examples. I would say one example where the refs were blackballing the player is with the player Rasheed Wallace. Now, I do understand that Rasheed, when he was playing, he was with the Portland Trail Blazers. Then he went to Detroit, and then he went to the Knicks. And no matter where he was, okay, he compiled the most technical fouls and got the most thrown outs. Like he's in the league all his own. Now, I'm not saying that he was a saint or that he was a model player, which, I mean, he was a very good player. But I'm saying that referees, instead of, coming to each game with an unbiased outlook on the players, a lot of them came into the games and headhunted or put a target on the backs of certain players. Ron Artest is another one. Now, I know about the fight in Auburn Hills. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Now, I'm talking about different times when, if Ron Artest would, foul someone, or if he gets a foul, they would call a flagrant, or they'll give him a tech just for talking to him, to the refs. And, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of pressure that goes on with being a referee. You have coaches hollering at you, you got players hollering at you, you got the fans. It's a pressure cooker, okay? But I will say that this problem has not been alleviated to where referees are calling certain situations where certain players are involved. They're not calling it fairly. And then on top of that, I believe that they're so embarrassed. Like, a lot of these refs refuse to even hold accountability to themselves if they miss a call or if they make the wrong call, to go and look at it. They feel like it's just better just to, give a tech to, if the player says something, it gives that ref a little bit of power to where he can just be like, not even listen to what the player's saying, based on who he is or based on if the ref likes him or not. You get a lot of these goof troop calls and these goof troop situations where referees are just doing what they want. And you got to understand that these technical fouls, look, I know it's the accountability on the player as well. You can't go out there acting like a nut. You can't go out there, you can't put your hands on the ref. You can't get all up in his face. But it's a very passionate game. The NBA is it has a very passionate, fuel into it. And a lot of these players, especially with teams that if they're struggling or if they're trying to get out of the hole or, things like that, a lot of players don't come up and they're not going to be, perfect and speaking with you. A lot of them going to be angry. A lot of them, uh, may yell, you know what I'm saying? But I just noticed it. I noticed that referees now, a lot of times, it's just a power trip. They're not even trying to make sure the game is called fairly. A lot of them just, they have an agenda, still. And I think it's just a situation that we just got to look at. Like, we can't look at the problem always being the player, which they do have to hold that. A lot of it goes on the ref. A lot of different players, especially, like I said, like Rashid, I would say the whole team, when he played on the Portland Trailblazers, the reputation that they created was that they were, thugs, bad boys, all that stuff, and even more than the original bad boys of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And then I noticed there was a lot of techs called, a lot of ejections. You had Rashid, you had Bonzi, Ruben Patterson, a lot of these guys. And it's a thing where, we have to look at this with an objective lens. The last crazy thing that I seen was when the Lakers were playing Boston. Okay, it was at the end of the game where, LeBron goes in for that layup and he gets fouled across the arm. And, everybody wants to clown LeBron. He was jumping around and stuff and all that. Shoot, I would too. It was a no call. And we got the viral moment where Pat Beverly got the camera and went to now see, he got a tech for that, right? Which I think it was on the front. I mean, yes, he should have known not to do that, but it wasn't like he went up and slapped the ref. It wasn't like he spit on the ref or anything like that. He simply brought the camera to him, showing like, "Hey, man, you got to." But the ref at that time, he gave him the tech, and I think he did it on a power trip. He got it. He did it out of emotionalism, which, yeah, players, yeah, they get emotional in games, but the ref, you're supposed to be there as the rock. He could have just been like, "Hey, man, not now." Like, not even giving the player, not even giving Pat Bev a chance to where he could have been like, "Hey, Pat, I need you to calm down." It wasn't none of that. Immediate tech. So some people feel like, yeah, the ref was right in that, was correct in doing that. I don't agree. I believe that in this landscape, these refs are trying to make it to where, you show any kind of emotion, you do any kind of thing that, especially if they don't like it, they can immediately just tech you. And those technical fouls cost money. So I think they just try to use that to keep players on the leash, certain players. You can't tell me that if it wasn't Pat Beverly, like, let's just say it was like TJ McConnell or Luka, you know what I'm saying, or one of the more respected players in the league. You can't tell me that when they complain to refs that there's a little bit more leniency towards them. But, it's all goof troop to me, man. I think they need to have a better system, a better union, kind of, retool how they operate on the court as a ref. But, what do I know? I just be talking. I just got a dude on YouTube, giving my thoughts. But Much love to the people, man. I'm going to let y'all go. Thank y'all for people who supporting me and watching the videos. It's very appreciated. I will be sharing the first season of Head of Class Sessions and getting it to the people, man. So much love and peace. One.